Hello everyone, this is OW Gaming, and welcome to the brand new installment of Future Langrisser. Initially, I was a bit skeptical about whether if I want to continue this series, even though my current situation in IRL is not looking great. Well, you know what? I decided, you know what? I'm not going to give up on this. I'm going to try my best to push this content as much as possible, to the best of my abilities, of course. And this time around, let's take a look at what's going to be added for Langrisser in the future. And this is Future Langrisser after all. Today we're going to be covering July 14th, 2025 edition. And by the time recording, today is the 10th. I'm recording this in advance as usual. And this time around, there's some stuff we need to talk about. So not only we got two new heroes from Millennium WS title, we also got a new SP hero coming to the game as well. So stay tuned for that. We'll be taking a look at who is the new SP. So first things first, let's take out one of the two new heroes that is coming to the game. So first one we got is the Jester, or known as the Clown, named Sharik. I think that's how you pronounce this name. I don't know. Their name is very complex nowadays, but anyway, Sharik is a physical DPS as part of his role, and his class choices are interesting. He can be both assassin and cavalry, which I don't think I ever seen this before. Although this is nothing new because we have Tiana with like a assassin and lancer class. So yeah, now we have another character with a gimmick combination of classes, and the factions he's part of are Dark Incarnation, Meteor Strike, and Euless Legends. And he is a jester who makes enemies suffer extra crit of 20%, and also they'll suffer more fixed damage if they're affected by him. And also, his unique 2C skill enables double strike if the crit is scored, which is pretty scary in many scenarios. And he is a Punisher, which will inflict accessory disable and heal block to the enemies. And also, this can also be applied to cackled enemies, which is his unique mark, to the enemies when he dies. So when he dies, he's going to punish them even further by inflicting those two same debuffs that he normally would get in his 3C. So yeah, if you ever see him on the field, be prepared for anything, because even though he dies and you think everything is over for him, well, not quite, because you're gonna have to deal with his ridiculous debuffs. Especially heal block is a big thing. And also accessory disable is another thing as well. So, like for example, if you happen to have something that can give yourself immunity to stun, well, if that accessory is disabled, then yeah, good luck doing that, because you are gonna get stunned when that's disabled. So don't let that happen. And he's pretty tricky to deal with too. And just by this alone, Shark could actually be pretty intimidating in Apex Arena settings. Okay, next up, let's look at the other character named Rapier. Her name is interesting because this name is based on the name of a weapon, which it's like a fencing kind of weapon. But anyways, that's the name that she goes with. Rapier. She's part of Empire's Honor, Princess Alliance, and Euless Legends. And the classes she is going to be part of are infantry and cavalry. And these two, they're pretty common combinations for heroes at least. And she, just like Shark, she's also a physical DPS type of unit, and she is a suppressor on the field, which will inflict Justice Duel, which behaves similarly to Sonya's the dual invitation, something like that, but excluding the part where you're forced to attack just one unit. So yeah, what I mean by that is that if you attack enemies that's rapier, nothing's gonna happen to you. But if you attack someone else other than rapier, you're gonna lose 5 of your buffs. Yeah, I wish I was joking, but I'm not, because if you attack an enemy that's like not rapier, you're gonna suffer the consequences because your buffs that you have on yourself are gonna get removed. Yeah, honestly, she is absolutely obnoxious to deal with, especially you're trying to deal with like the enemies that support rapier. And next thing is that when an ally attacks an enemy with Justice Duel, rapier will teleport to an empty block next to the ally that attacked already, and also act again if she has already acted. So this has interesting flexibility. So if Rapier already done her move, and when the ally attacks an enemy with the Justice Duel, she's gonna be able to teleport to that position and then give herself act again. But be aware that Rapier might actually die because enemy has to go first, of course. So there's some like 50-50 going on there. So I mean, if you're attacking from far away, this is no issue. But if you attack someone, well, like melee combat, then that is probably going to be a problem in some scenarios because unless it's a tank that attacks the attacker, which I don't think that's going to happen all the time. Anyways, if that actually works in your favor, then Rapier could actually be of good use with that. But other than that, this could lead to some weird situations. And also, when Rapier attacks an enemy with Justice Duel, the enemy cannot utilize Strike first, and they are not able to get revived if they've been hit this way. So this is essentially a tank killer kind of thing. So if Rapier attacks a tank, for instance, that as long as that tank has like a thing where there's like Justice Duel mark on there, they won't be able to use their revive effect during that time. So yeah, when that happens, ooh, good luck surviving because if you don't survive, then say goodbye to your tank. Now let's move on to the next part, which is the new SP hero that which many of you are curious who it's going to be. And in case you guys don't know, from the previous leak I mentioned about someone that wields an Alhazard that could be a next candidate for SP hero. Well, this is not a surprise to many of you because this character happens to be the one who is within the chaos himself, the one that wields Alhazard. It is Bozo. Yep, Bozo is getting the SP treatment here. So his class is a demon class, which many of you were thinking, why demon? Well, here's the thing: demon classes usually have like a crazy stats spread, but for him in his SP class, he has some unique attributes on there which will actually prevent most of the flaws that the demons have. So, for example, he's gonna be able to attack enemies without worry about enemies being holies because he does have a class advantage ignore in his talent, and he also has a skill cost ignore. So that means you can bring any skill you want without limitations, which is awesome because now you can have black hole coexist with other powerful skills. Like imagine the combinations that goes insane here. So you can have earthquake, uh, like any AOE in general, like black hole, earthquake, and even 3C, like all three of them together as a selection. Like how crazy is that? So yeah, just by this alone, Bozo is in fact back into the meta because he is gonna bring a lot of debuffs out there. And speaking of debuffs, if you have been inflicted with like 3 or more debuffs, depending on the star level of Bozo, oh, watch out because he's gonna be able to cast from your position if you have 3 or more debuffs on you. So yeah, essentially think of him like Ilya, but a monster. Like imagine imagine like how terrifying it would be if you had to deal with just Ilya. Like she can just snipe you from far away. But Bozos in that case, good luck trying to dodge that because if you're affected by 3 debuffs already, he's gonna hit you no matter what. Because those positions are considered his range, so be aware of that. Okay, next up is a new SP soldier. So this time we got Dark Alchemist, which will boost your hero's skill range by 1, depending on which unit it is. Like mostly for mages. And the one mage that I noticed that can benefit from this is Garona Shell. Yep, she is going to be benefiting this. And this will actually be a huge boon for her because now she can snipe enemies from very far away than she normally would be able to. Ghost of the Fog is also getting SP. And then Bandit is also getting SP here as well. But however, the one thing to note here is that Bandit is not going to get additional heroes. So this one is probably the bit underwhelming side, but if you can make work with it, then by all means. Other than that, don't waste it. Don't waste your resources for Bandit. Next up, we got new casting pattern skills. So this time we got 2 new casting patterns for the 2 heroes that have already existed in the game. One of them happens to be just be obtainable, and the other one is limited time, which I don't know if that's gonna come back anytime soon because Captain Mac is currently as a limited time unit. So, anyways, let's look at what those skill does. So, McLean's casting is that when attacking enemies in water, McLean deals 15% increased damage. When casting Lord of the Stream, if McLean is already in water, he can move 2 additional blocks and attack again. And what do I think about this casting? I would say pretty solid for McLean because in the past McLean has been overshadowed by many aquatic units now. So Nonoran already overshadowed him with her inclusion. So yeah, this is not good for McLean. But however, with this buff, like with this casting pattern, I could see McLean be of use here in PvP, but of course in a niche type of playstyle because he still had to deal with Nemia shutting him down because McLean likes water while Nemia is anti-water unit. So yeah, McLean still had to deal with Lemia, but other than that, this is a solid upgrade for him. So now he's no longer a sitting duck when he do the first phase 3C, by the way. And next up, let's look at Captain Mac's casting pattern skill. Attack is increased by 5%. The route marker applied by talent gains +1 command range. While within the command range of an ally route marker, the terrain which Captain Mac occupies is treated as water. So this is pretty straightforward. So basically, as long as he's within his route marker or his ally's route marker, the tile or the block he's standing in is going to be treated as if he is in water. So that means he'll gain the defense bonus, which is pretty nice. Do I think it's going to be viable for PvP? It really depends. It's mostly for niche like McLean, but we'll have to see how it goes from there. Okay, next up, I'm quite excited about this one because the next exclusive equipment goes to Saffrine. Although in the past, I kind of a bit skeptical about if I want to bring Saffrine to my roster or not, I ultimately decided, you know what, it wouldn't harm to add her to my party, and after that point, I started to get a connection with Saffrine because of how versatile she is and also how fun she is in the game as a whole. So she's getting a weapon exclusive in this update, which increases her int by 10%, and this involves her harmonic spirit getting buffs. So the spirits will initially gets the effects of which basically prevents them from being targeted by enemies' normal attacks and skills. However, if there's an enemy within the one block of those spirits, they're gonna lose that effect and they will be targeted as after ending their action. So make sure you keep them far away from the enemies to prevent them from being targeted. So that alone is very broken because they cannot be attacked at all, but unless they get splashed. So other than that, this is actually pretty nuts. And also, the terrain occupied by enemies within 3 blocks are treated as grasslands, which will allow them to traverse better, I guess. This effect can't be dispelled or immunized, and it will be removed at the end of your next action. So yeah, anyways, Harmonic Spirit can also be retrieved by other Harmonic Spirits instead of just Saffrine. So now those spirits will also be able to be retrieving them and probably get their skills too, but we'll have to see how this works out because I'm not too sure if the Harmonic Spirit is going to be able to inherit the other spirit's skill. But again, like I said earlier, we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen from there. So far, this weapon is promising, and this might actually be Apex worthy of addition for meta. I mean, she's already interesting to use in Apex, but this weapon makes her even more like meta, like somewhat, of course. And finally, before we close off this episode, there's something we'll need to talk about here. So when it comes to banners, but however the events I won't know because this is just early on, like for the leakers. But however, there's some stuff I would like to cover here. So in the place of the events, I decided to put content instead because there's a new content in this update, which basically adds a new time rift for Millennium WonderSwan story. So now there's going to be a second Millennium WonderSwan in the next coming update. And also another thing to note here, There's a quality of life change that will be happening in this update as well, which basically makes the PvE experience better, especially for solo modes. So if you're playing solo PvE modes or any stage possible like Time Rift, anything that's just by yourself and is PvE, you will be able to return to the battle preparation just by pressing restart button that they introduced, which is huge and by like saving time, of course. And now for the banners. The banners we're going to be expecting for this update are Swordline Shadow and Celica, Tiana and Makera banners as raid ups, Mythical Realm Destiny banner featuring Broken Winged Bird, or known as Hibiscus, Prezia, and Sapphirine, Princess Alliance Destiny banner for Girl in a Shell, Rosalia, and Patricia, and Classic Destiny banner for Elwyn, Leon, and Bernhard. So yeah, that's about it for this video. Hope y'all find this video helpful or informative, and I'll see you all next time.